Good day, everyone. We are here today to present visual symbols. And what is the meaning of this, or where it originated, and what is the use of this? Visual symbols will be made meaningful if we can make use them as summaries of our own direct experiences or our own rich indirect experiences. What do we mean by that? Visual symbols become meaningful when they connect to something we already know, even if it's direct or indirect. In short, the more experiences we have, whether direct or indirect, the more meaningful and effective visual symbols become in helping us understand and remember informations. But first, visual symbols come alive when they connect to our experiences. Like we've said earlier, whether we've lived through something ourselves or explored it through powerful images, stories, and demonstrations. These symbols transform into meaningful tools for understanding. They can just represent ideas. They also spark recognition, memory, and energy in the way we learn. When we talk about visual symbols, we must consider what are the guidelines must be followed when we read charts, graphs, and maps. Secondly, can they be integrated into instructional processes? And what are the examples of each visual symbols? Lastly, what materials fall under this category? But before anything else, let's see where visual symbols originated from. Visual symbols originated from the earliest forms of human communication, long before written language existed. People created these symbols to represent their ideas, the objects, and the experiences in a simple, recognizable way. Here's where they started. This one, the Egyptian funerary artwork. Ancient civilizations and societies grew. Cultures like Egyptians, Sumerians, Chinese, and Mayans developed more structured symbols. In Egypt, they called it hieroglyphs. In Mesopotamia, they called it cuneiform. In early Chinese characters, these were symbols used to represent sounds, ideas, and objects. Next, we can see the parietal art or the cave painting. Especially the style and subject matter, likely an animal figure, possibly a bison, similar to prehistoric animals. This is taken from the cave of Altamira in Spain. Famous sites like La Coque in France. Although without more context, Altamira is often associated with this lifelike depiction of animals using the natural contours inside the cave. And lastly, the emoji. This is the modern hieroglyphs of our time. Overall, visual symbols originated from early human attempts to communicate through drawings and evolved across civilizations to help people represent ideas clearly and quickly.
Cartoon. Cartoon is a single-frame drawing that uses exaggerated characters or situations to express an idea, message, or critique, often humorous, satirical. A cartoon is a simplified, often humorous drawing that frequently uses exaggeration or caricature to convey a message or tell a story. we have simplification. A cartoon takes complex ideas and simplifies them into easily digestible visual narratives and representation, making abstract concepts more concrete. We have the engagement. The light-hearted and often memorable nature of cartoons captures students' attention and makes the learning material more engaging. And the communication concepts. Cartoon can serve as a symbol for processes. Simplified cartoon showing the steps of a water cycle, the feelings faced with an exaggerated emotion or social concept, a cartoon figure representing a historical stereotype. And the memorability. The distinctive visual style and humor of a cartoon often make the associated concept easier to remember the plain text. In essence of visual symbols are the general category of educational images. Cartoons are subcategory, specially designed to the highly communicative, engaging through simplification and exaggeration. We have the strip drawing, or a comic strip is a sequence of related drawings showing a story or process through several frames of panels. We have the key pedagogical benefits. The unique combination of text and sequential visual in strip drawings creates a powerful learning tool. We have the enhanced reading comprehension. The enhanced reading comprehension is the visual context provided by the strip drawing acts as a scaffold for the text, which is particularly helpful for certain learners. We have also developing multimodal literacy. Strip drawings are inherently multimodal text, meaning is created through the interplay of various systems, not just words. Number 3 is the making complex concept accessible. The medium ability to simplify and sequence information make it perfect for breaking down difficult subject matter. The use of strip drawings moves learning beyond simple memorization by demanding the students synthesize information from both the linguistic and visual channels.
Next slide is diagram. Diagram is a visual representation of a data or information that communicate a concept, idea, or a process in a simplified and easily understandable way. You can also use them to illustrate relationship, cycles, or workflow. Now is the type of diagram. One of the type of diagram is Venn diagram. Venn diagram is a visual representation that uses overlapping circles to show the relationship between two or more set of items, highlighting their similarities and differences. Each circle represents a category and the overlapping section or intersection show shared characteristics. There are useful tools in various fields like mathematics, logic, and statistics for organizing and comparing the data. Next is a cycle diagram. A cycle diagram is a visual representation of a repeating process or series of events that flow continuously in a circle. It shows how different stages are connected and how they lead back to the beginning, making it useful for illustrate patterns like the water cycle, a business process, or a product of a life cycle. Next is network diagram. A network diagram visually represents the relationship between elements in a system or a project. In network diagram, each node represents an element such as device in a computer network or a task in a project. The line or the arrow connecting the nodes represent the relationship or interaction between these elements. The network diagram are best for visually representing the relationship or connection between different elements in a system or a project. They are used in telecommunication, computer networking, project management, and organization planning.
E. Charts. Before we proceed to the different types of charts, we will define first what is charts. Charts are visual tools that organize information clearly and meaningfully. They help teachers present relationships, processes, comparisons, and structures in an easy to understand way. The first type of charts is the tree of stream chart or stream graph chart. This shows how a topic branches into subtopics, demonstrates hierarchy and relationships. A stream graph is a visually engaging variation of a stack area chart that displays changes in data over time around a central, varying baseline rather than a fixed axis. The result is an organic flowing shape composed of multiple streams where the width of each stream is proportional to its value at any given point in time. It is primarily used to visualize the relative proportions and relationships between categories within a dynamic data set. Second is the flow chart. A flow chart is a diagram that uses standardized symbols like rectangles for actions, diamonds for decisions, and arrows for sequence to present a workflow, process, or algorithm. It provides a step-by-step visual roadmap, making complex sequences of actions, decisions, points, inputs, and outputs clear and easy to understand. Third is the organizational chart. An organizational chart or org chart graphically represents the structure of an organization, detailing roles, responsibilities, and formal reporting relationships through a hierarchy. It typically places senior positions at the top with subordinate roles linked below them using lines and boxes, which helps visualize the chain of command. Example, in the classroom management, showing the classroom roles and responsibilities, line leader, material helper, etc., or project team structures so students understand their place and who to report to. Fourth is the comparison and contrast chart. This category encompasses various charts and graphic organizers, such as the Venn diagrams, T-charts, or comparison matrices, designed to highlight the similarities and differences between two or more items, concepts, or sets of data. They visually arrange information side by side or in overlapping sections for easy analysis. In educational application, like literature or history, using a Venn diagram to compare and contrast two different historical events or two characteristics in a story, drawing evidence from the text. Last is the Pareto chart. A Pareto chart is a type of bar chart that combines both bars in a line graph. The bars display the frequency or impact of different causes for a specific problem in descending order, while a superimposed line graph shows the cumulative percentage. It is based on the Pareto principle or 80-20 rule, which suggests that roughly 80% of problems came from 20% of the causes. In educational application, like in math or statistics, teaching data analysis by having students collect data on a problem. Example reasons for student tardiness, and use a Pareto chart to identify the most significant factors that need addressing first.
Next on teaching with visual symbols is the graph. So, what is a graph? A graph is a visual way to show information so it's easier to understand and compare. Instead of using long lists of numbers, graph turns data into pictures. So why do we use graphs? Graphs can make the data easier to read. Next, they help you to see the patterns and trends quickly. Graphs also make comparing values simpler. Do you know that schools adopted graphs in textbooks because research showed that students learn faster from visuals than the text alone? Today, almost every subject uses graphs, like math, science, social studies, economics, because they help students interpret real-world data. These interactive graphs became common in teaching. It helps students explore data hands-on rather than just reading from textbooks. Now let's start with pie graph.
Pie graph helps students visualize data sets and understand how a part relates to the whole. For example, this figure, the cost of education distributed. The cost of education was divided into 5 parts in which the instruction spent 61.9%, while the operation, maintenance, and auxiliary agencies spent 19.1%. Next, the capital outlay spent 8.8%. Next is the general control. They spend 6.8%. And lastly, the interest with 3.4%. Overall, the whole circle is 100%. The bigger the slices equals the bigger the values. It's the best way for showing proportions, ratios, or distributions. Next is the bar graph. It is used in comparing the magnitude of similar items at different ties or seeing relative sizes of the part of the whole. In Figure 2, this is the responses to 1998 World Gallup survey, in which they answered, "Do you think it is wrong for unmarried couples to bear children?" 84 among the Indians says yes, while in Singapore, 89, in Taiwan, 55, in United States, 47, in Canada, 25, Great Britain, 25, Germany, 9, and Iceland, 3, which makes the Singapore have the highest, saying yes, and the lowest is Iceland. So, a bar graph displays data using bars of different lengths or height. The longer or the taller the bar, the greater the value is. Next is the pictorial graph or the pictograph. It is a visual chart where each picture represents a certain number of items, making it easier to understand and compare the quantities. In this figure, this is the number of the library users among pupils for 5 months, where each symbols represent 4 pupils. So, how many pupils use the library on September 1? There are 6 figures multiplied by 4 because each symbols represent 4 pupils. The answer is 24. For October 1, there are 9 symbols multiplied by 4 equals to 36. Next, in November 1, there are 8 symbols, which means it will be multiplied by 4 equals to 32. While in December 1, there are 10 figures, but one figure was half, which means 4 divided by 2. So, overall, the total number of pupils was 38. And lastly, in January, there are 9 figures, but one figure was also half, which means it will be divided by 2. 4 divided by 2. Overall, the total is 34. Overall, how many pupils used the library within 5 months? The total will be 164. This sums up the different types of graphs, in which pie graphs is a circle divided into slices to show parts as a whole, while the bar graph is bars to compare the amounts across categories. And lastly, the pictograph. This is the pictures that represents numbers for easy understanding.
I will be presenting about maps, what they are, the different types of maps we use, and the elements of map language that help us read maps correctly. Now, let's define what are maps. A map is a drawing or representation of a place. It helps us know where things are located and what the environment looks like. Maps are used in travel, planning, studying geography, and many other activities. We have here different kinds of maps. First, we have physical map. A physical map shows natural features of the earth, such as mountains, rivers, lakes, plains, and oceans. These maps often use colors like green for lowlands and brown for mountains, so we can easily see the physical landscape of an area. Next, we have here relief map. A relief map shows the physical terrain of an area. representing its elevation and depth through features like contour lines, shading, or color scheme. This kind of map helps hikers, geologists, and planners understand how steep or flat an area is. Let's now proceed to commercial or economic map. A commercial or economic map shows the economic activities or resources of a place. It may show where people farm, mine, fish, or where factories and businesses are located. These maps help us understand how people use land and resources. And last, we have here political map. A political map is a type of map that shows human-created boundaries, such as those between countries, states, and cities. This map highlight human-made divisions and usually use bright colors to separate different areas. Political maps help us understand borders, government regions, and locations of major cities. Let's discuss about the map language. To read the map correctly, we also need to understand the map language. This map language includes the scales, symbols, colors, and geographic grids used on the map. We have here first the scale. The scale of a map shows the relationship between the distance on the map and the actual distance on the ground. For example, 1 centimeter on the map might represent 1 kilometer in real life. So the scale helps us measure and estimate distances. Next, we have here symbols. Symbols are small drawings or icons that represent real objects or places on a map. For example, a star. Star might represent a capital city, and a cross might represent a church. Next, we also have colors. Colors on a map also have meanings. For example, color blue is used for water like oceans and rivers. Green usually shows lowlands or plains. Brown represents mountains or high areas. Colors makes maps easier to understand at a glance. Lastly, a geographic grid. Geographic grid is a grid that made up of lines of latitude and longitude. Latitude lines run horizontally and measure how far north or south a place is. Longitude lines run vertically and measure how far east or west a place is. When we combine these lines, we can find the exact location of any place on Earth. Let's discuss about the map language. To read the map correctly, we also need to understand the map language. This map language includes the scales, symbols,